So you think you might want to play a warlock, eh? To repeat the immortal words of my favourite Tristram historian, Deckard Cain. Stay a while and listen. Imagine a young elf, a pseudo-dragon perched on his shoulder, smiles warmly as he effortlessly bends the palace sentinel to his will, using a magical charm. Or as flames spring to life into her gnarled hands, a wizened human whispering the secret name of her demonic patron infuses the spell with fiendish magic. You see, warlocks are seekers of the knowledge that lies hidden in the fabric of the multiverse. Through pacts made with mysterious beings of supernatural power, warlocks unlock magical effects both subtle and spectacular. Drawing on the ancient knowledge of beings such as fey nobles, demons, devils, hags, and alien entities of the far realm, warlocks piece together arcane secrets to bolster their own power. Sworn and beholden. A warlock is defined by a pact with an otherworldly being. Sometimes the relationship between warlock and patron is like that of a cleric and a deity, though the beings that serve as patrons for warlocks are not gods. A warlock might lead a cult dedicated to a demon prince, an archdevil, or an utterly alien entity, beings not typically served by clerics. More often though, the arrangement is similar to that between a master and apprentice. The warlock learns and grows in power at the cost of occasional services performed on the patron's behalf. The magic bestowed on a warlock ranges from minor, but lasting alterations to the warlock's being, such as the ability to see in darkness or to read any language to access powerful spells. Unlike bookish wizards, warlocks supplement their magic with some facility at hand-to-hand combat. They are comfortable in light armor and know how to use simple weapons. Delvers into secrets. Warlocks are driven by an insatiable need for knowledge and power, which compels them into their pacts and shapes their lives. This thirst drives warlocks into their pacts and shapes their later careers as well. Stories of warlocks binding themselves to fiends are widely known, but many warlocks serve patrons that are not fiendish. Sometimes a traveler in the wilds comes to a strangely beautiful tower, meets its fey lord or lady, and stumbles into a pact without being fully aware of it. And sometimes, while poring over tomes of forbidden lore, a brilliant but crazed student's mind is open to realities beyond the material world, and to the alien beings that dwell in the outer void. Once a pact is made, a warlock's thirst for knowledge and power can't be slaked with mere study and research. No one makes a pact with such a mighty patron if he or she doesn't intend to use the power thus gained. Rather, the vast majority of warlocks spend their days in active pursuit of their goals, which typically means some kind of adventuring. Furthermore, the demands of their patrons drive warlocks toward adventure. Creating a warlock. As you make your warlock character, spend some time thinking about your patron and the obligations that your pact imposes upon you. What led you to make the pact, and how did you make contact with your patron? Were you seduced into summoning a devil, or did you seek out the ritual that would allow you to make contact with an alien elder god? Did you search for your patron, or did your patron find and choose you? Do you chafe under the obligations of your pact or serve joyfully in anticipation of the rewards promised to you? Work with your DM to determine how big a part your pact will play in your character's adventuring career. Your patron's demands might drive you into adventures, or they might consist entirely of small favors you can do between adventures. What kind of relationship do you have with your patron? Is it friendly, antagonistic, uneasy, or romantic? How important does your patron consider you to be? What part do you play in your patron's plans? Do you know other servants of your patron? How does your patron communicate with you? If you have a familiar, it might occasionally speak with your patron's voice. Some warlocks find messages from their patrons etched on trees, mingled among tea leaves, or adrift in the clouds. Messages that only the warlock can see. Other warlocks converse with their patrons in dreams or waking visions, or deal only with intermediaries. Warlocks are finders and keepers of secrets. They push at the edge of our understanding of the world, always seeking to expand their expertise. where sages or wizards might heed a clear sign of danger and end their research, a warlock plunges ahead, heedless of the cost. Thus, it takes a peculiar mixture of intelligence, curiosity, and recklessness to produce a warlock. Many folk would describe that combination as evidence of madness. Warlocks see it as a demonstration of bravery. Warlocks are defined by two elements that work in concert to forge their path into this class. The first element is the event or circumstances that led to a warlock's entering into a pact with a planar entity. The second one is the nature of the entity a warlock is bound to. Unlike clerics, who typically embrace a deity and that god's ethos, a warlock might have no love for a patron, or vice versa. The sections that follow provide ways to embellish a warlock character that could generate some intriguing story and role-playing opportunities. Patron's attitude. Every relationship is a two-way street, but in the case of warlocks and their patrons, it's not necessarily true that both sides of the street are the same width or made of the same stuff. The feeling that a warlock holds for their patron, whether positive or negative, might be reciprocated by the patron, or the two participants in the pact might view one another with opposing emotions. When you determine the attitude your warlock character holds toward your patron, also consider how things look from the patron's perspective. How does your patron behave toward you? Is your patron a friend and ally, or an enemy that grants you power only because you forced a pact upon it? Roll a d6 to determine your patron's attitude. On a 1, your patron has guided and helped your family for generations and is kindly toward you. On a 2, each interaction with your capricious patron is a surprise, whether pleasant or painful. On a 3, your patron is the spirit of a long-dead hero who sees your pact as a way for it to continue to influence the world. On a 4, your patron is a strict disciplinarian, but treats you with a measure of respect. On a 5, your patron tricked you into a pact and treats you as a slave. And on a 6, you are mostly left to your own devices with no interference from your patron. Sometimes you dread the demands it will make when it does appear. Special terms of the pact. A pact can range from a loose agreement to a formal contract with lengthy, detailed clauses and lists of requirements. The terms of a pact, what a warlock must do to receive a patron's favor, are always dictated by the patron. On occasion, those terms include a special proviso that might seem odd or whimsical, but warlocks take these dictates as seriously as they do the other requirements of their pacts. Does your character have a pact that requires you to change your behavior in an unusual or seemingly frivolous way? Even if your patron hasn't imposed such a duty on you already, that's not to say it couldn't still happen. Roll a d6 to determine the special terms of the pact with your patron. On a 1, when directed, you must take immediate action against a specific enemy of your patron. On a 2, your pact tests your willpower. You are required to abstain from alcohol and other intoxicants. On a 3, at least once a day, you must inscribe or carve your patron's name or symbol on the wall of a building. On a 4, you must occasionally conduct bizarre rituals to maintain your pact. On a 5, you can never wear the same outfit twice, since your patron finds such predictability to be boring. And on a 6, when you use an eldritch invocation, you must speak your patron's name aloud or risk incurring its displeasure. A binding mark. Some patrons make a habit of, and often enjoy, marking the warlocks under their sway in some fashion. A binding mark makes it clear to those who know about such things that the individual in question is bound to the patron's service. A warlock might take advantage of such a mark, claiming it as proof of one's pact, or might want to keep it under wraps, if possible, to avoid the difficulties it might bring. If your warlock's pact comes with a binding mark, how you feel about displaying it probably depends on the nature of your relationship with the one who gave it to you. Is the mark a source of pride or something you are secretly ashamed of? Roll a d6 to determine how your binding mark presents. On a 1, one of your eyes looks the same as one of your patron's eyes. On a 2, Each time you wake up, the small blemish on your face appears in a different place. On a 3, you display outward symptoms of a disease, but suffer no ill effects from it. On a 4, your tongue is an unnatural colour. On a 5, you have a vestigial tail. And on a 6, your nose glows in the dark. Pact magic. Your arcane research and the magic bestowed on you by your patron have given you facility with spells. See Chapter 10 for the general rules of spellcasting and Chapter 11 for the Warlock spell list. Cantrips. You know 2 cantrips of your choice from the Warlock spell list. You learn additional Warlock cantrips of your choice at higher levels, as shown in the cantrips known column of the Warlock table. Spell slots. The Warlock table shows how many spell slots you have to cast your Warlock spells of 1st through 5th level. The table also shows what the level of those slots is. All of your spell slots are the same level. To cast one of your Warlock spells of 1st level or higher, you must expend a spell slot. You regain all expended spell slots when you finish a short or long rest. For example, when you are 5th level, you have 2 3rd level spell slots. To cast the 1st level spell Witch Bolt, you must spend one of those slots, and you cast it as a 3rd level spell. Spells known of 1st level and higher. At 1st level, you know 2 1st level spells of your choice from the Warlock spell list. The spells known column of the Warlock table shows when you learn more Warlock spells of your choice of 1st level and higher. A spell you choose must be of a level no higher than what's shown in the table's slot level column for your level. When you reach 6th level, for example, you learn a new Warlock spell, which can be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd level. Additionally, when you gain a level in this class, you can choose one of the Warlock spells you know and replace it with another spell from the Warlock spell list, which also must be of a level for which you have spell slots. Spellcasting ability. Charisma is your spellcasting ability for your Warlock spells, so you use your charisma whenever a spell refers to your spellcasting ability. In addition, you use your charisma modifier when setting the saving throw DC for a Warlock spell you cast, and when making an attack roll with one. Your spell save DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier. Your spell attack modifier equals your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier. Spellcasting focus. You can use an arcane focus as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells. Otherworldly patron. At 1st level, you have struck a bargain with an otherworldly being chosen from the list of available patrons. Your choice grants you features at 1st level and again at 6th, 10th, and 14th level. Choosing an otherworldly patron is a way you can customize your Warlock, and each one comes with different abilities and spells, so choose wisely. Otherworldly patrons will be studied in greater detail when we go over their corresponding subclass. Eldritch invocations. In your study of occult lore, you have unearthed eldritch invocations, fragments of forbidden knowledge that imbue you with an abiding magical ability. At 2nd level, you gain 2 eldritch invocations of your choice. A list of the available options can be found on the optional features page. When you gain certain Warlock levels, you gain additional invocations of your choice, as shown in the invocations known column of the Warlock table. Additionally, when you gain a level in this class, you can choose one of the invocations you know and replace it with another invocation that you could learn at that level. If an eldritch invocation has prerequisites, you must meet them to learn it. You can learn the invocation at the same time that you meet its prerequisites. A level prerequisite refers to your level in this class. Pact boon. At 3rd level, your otherworldly patron bestows a gift upon you for your loyal service. You gain one of the following features of your choice. Pact of the Blade. You can use your action to create a pact weapon in your empty hand. You can choose the form that this melee weapon takes each time you create it. You are proficient with it while you wield it. This weapon counts as magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. Your pact weapon disappears if it is more than 5 feet away from you for 1 minute or more. It also disappears if you use this feature again, if you dismiss the weapon no action required, or if you die. You can transform one magic weapon into your pact weapon by performing a special ritual while you hold the weapon. You perform the ritual over the course of 1 hour, which can be done during a short rest. You can then dismiss the weapon, shunting it into an extra-dimensional space, and it appears whenever you create your pact weapon thereafter. You can't affect an artifact or ascension weapon in this way. The weapon ceases being your pact weapon if you die, if you perform the 1 hour ritual on a different weapon, or if you use a 1 hour ritual to break your bond to it. The weapon appears at your feet if it is in the extra-dimensional space when the bond breaks. Pact of the Chain. You learn the Find Familiar spell and can cast it as a ritual. The spell doesn't count against your number of spells known. When you cast the spell, you can choose one of the normal forms for your familiar, or one of the following special forms: Imp, Pseudo-Dragon, Quasit, or Sprite. Additionally, when you take the attack action, you can forego one of your own attacks to allow your familiar to use its reaction to make one attack of its own. Pact of the Tome. Your patron gives you a grimoire called a Book of Shadows. When you gain this feature, choose 3 cantrips from any class's spell list. The cantrips do not need to be from the same spell list. While the book is on your person, you can cast those cantrips at will. They don't count against your number of cantrips known. Any cantrip you cast with this feature is considered a Warlock cantrip for you. If you lose your Book of Shadows, you can perform a 1 hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous book. The book turns to ash when you die. Ability score improvement. When you reach 4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th levels, you can increase one ability score of your choice by 2, or you can increase 2 ability scores of your choice by 1. As normal, you can't increase an ability score above 20 using this feature. If your DM allows the use of feats, you may instead take a feat. Otherworldly Patron feature. At 6th, 10th, and 14th levels, you gain a feature granted by your Otherworldly Patron. Mystic Arcanum. At 11th, 13th, 15th, and 17th levels, your patron bestows upon you a magical secret called an Arcanum. Choose one 6th level spell from the Warlock spell list as this Arcanum. You can cast your Arcanum spell once without expending a spell slot. You must finish a long rest before you can do so again. At higher levels, you gain more Warlock spells of your choice that can be cast in this way. One 7th level spell at 13th level, one 8th level spell at 15th level, and one 9th level spell at 17th level. You regain all uses of your Mystic Arcanum when you finish a long rest. Eldritch Master. At 20th level, you can draw on your inner reserve of mystical power while entreating your patron to regain expended spell slots. You can spend 1 minute entreating your patron for aid to regain all your expended spell slots from your Pact magic feature. Once you regain spell slots with this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can do so again. Warlock subclasses. Patron of the Archfey. Your patron is a lord or lady of the Fae, a creature of legend who holds secrets that were forgotten before the mortal races were born. This being's motivations are often inscrutable and sometimes whimsical, and might involve a striving for greater magical power or the settling of age-old grudges. Beings of this sort include the Prince of Frost, the Queen of Air and Darkness, ruler of the Gloaming Court, Titania of the Summer Court, her consort Oberon, the Green Lord, Hirsum, the Prince of Fools, and Ancient Hags. Expanded spell list. The Archfey lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At first level, you gain the Fairy Fire and Sleep spells. At second level, you gain the Calm Emotions and Phantasmal Force spells. At third level, you gain the Blink and Plant Growth spells. At fourth level, you gain the Dominate Beast and Greater Invisibility spells. At fifth level, you gain the Dominate Person and Seeming spells. Fey Presence. Starting at first level, your patron bestows upon you the ability to project the beguiling and fearsome presence of the Fey. As an action, you can cause each creature in a 10-foot cube originating from you to make a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell save DC. The creatures that fail their saving throws are all charmed or frightened by you, per your choice, until the end of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Otherworldly Patron feature. At 6th level, you gain a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. Misty Escape allows you to vanish in a puff of mist in response to harm. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to turn invisible and teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You remain invisible until the start of your next turn, or until you attack or cast a spell. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. At 10th level, you gain an additional feature granted by your otherworldly patron. Beguiling Defenses. Your patron teaches you how to turn the mind-affecting magic of your enemies against them. You are immune to being charmed, and when another creature attempts to charm you, you can use your reaction to attempt to turn the charm back on that creature. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell save DC, or be charmed by you for 1 minute, or until the creature takes any damage. At 14th level, you gain the Dark Delirium feature. You can plunge a creature into an illusory realm. As an action, choose a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you. It must make a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell save DC. On a failed save, it is charmed or frightened by you. Pay your choice for 1 minute, or until your concentration is broken, as if you are concentrating on a spell. This effect ends early if the creature takes any damage. Until this illusion ends, the creature thinks it is lost in a misty realm, the appearance of which you choose. The creature can see and hear only itself, you, and the illusion. You must finish a short or long rest before you can use this feature again. Patron of the Celestial. Your patron is a powerful being of the upper planes. You have bound yourself to an ancient Empyrean, solar, Chirin, unicorn, or other entity that resides in the planes of everlasting bliss. Your pact with that being allows you to experience the barest touch of the holy light that illuminates the multiverse. Being connected to such power can cause changes in your behavior and beliefs. You might find yourself driven to annihilate the undead, to defeat fiends, and to protect the innocent. At times, your heart might also be filled with a longing for the celestial realm of your patron, and a desire to wander that paradise for the rest of your days. But you know that your mission is among mortals for now, and that your pact binds you to bring light to the dark places of the world. Expanded spell list. The Celestial lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At first level, you gain the Cure Wounds and Guiding Bolt spells. At second level, you gain the Flaming Sphere and Lesser Restoration spells. At third level, you gain the Daylight and Revivify spells. At fourth level, you gain the Guardian of Faith and Wall of Fire spells. At fifth level, you gain the Flame Strike and Greater Restoration spells. Bonus cantrips. At first level, you learn the Sacred Flame and Light cantrips. They count as Warlock cantrips for you, but they don't count against your number of cantrips known. Healing Light. At first level, you gain the ability to channel celestial energy to heal wounds. You have a pool of D6s that you spend to fuel this healing. The number of dice in the pool equals 1 plus your Warlock level. As a bonus action, you can heal one creature you can see within 60 feet of you, spending dice from the pool. The maximum number of dice you can spend at once equals your charisma modifier with a minimum of 1 die. Roll the dice you spend, add them together, and restore a number of hit points equal to the total. Your pool regains all expended dice when you finish a long rest. At 6th level, you gain Radiant Soul granted by your otherworldly patron. Radiant Soul allows your link to the Celestial to serve as a conduit for radiant energy. You have resistance to radiant damage, and when you cast a spell that deals radiant or fire damage, you can add your charisma modifier to one radiant or fire damage roll of that spell against one of its targets. At 10th level, you gain Celestial Resilience granted by your otherworldly patron. With Celestial Resilience, you gain temporary hit points whenever you finish a short or long rest. These temporary hit points equal your Warlock level plus your charisma modifier. Additionally, choose up to 5 creatures you can see at the end of the rest. Those creatures each gain temporary hit points equal to half your Warlock level plus your charisma modifier. At 14th level, you gain Searing Vengeance granted by your otherworldly patron. With Searing Vengeance, the radiant energy you channel allows you to resist death. When you have to make a death saving throw at the start of your turn, you can instead spring back to your feet with a burst of radiant energy. You regain hit points equal to half your hit point maximum, and then you stand up if you so choose. Each creature of your choice that is within 30 feet of you takes radiant damage equal to 2d8 plus your charisma modifier, and it is blinded until the end of the current turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Patron of the Fathomless. You have plunged into a pact with the deeps. An entity of the ocean, the elemental plane of water, or another otherworldly sea now allows you to draw on its thalassic power. Is it merely using you to learn about terrestrial realms, or does it want you to open cosmic floodgates and drown the world? Perhaps you were born into a generational cult that venerates the Fathomless and its spawn. Or you might have been shipwrecked and on the brink of drowning when your patron's grasp offered you a chance at life. Whatever the reason for your pact, the sea and its unknown depths call to you. Entities of the deep that might empower a warlock include krakens, ancient water elementals, godlike hallucinations dreamed into being by Kuo-Toa, merfolk demigods, and sea hag covens. Expanded spell list. The Fathomless lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At 1st level, you gain the Create or Destroy Water and Thunderwave spells. At 2nd level, you gain the Gust of Wind and Silence spells. At 3rd level, you gain the Lightning Bolt and Sleet Storm spells. At 4th level, you gain the Control Water and Summon Water elemental spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Bigby's Hand spell, which appears as a Tentacle and Cone of Cold spell. Tentacle of the Deeps. You can magically summon a spectral tentacle that strikes at your foes. As a bonus action, you create a 10-foot-long tentacle at a point you can see within 60 feet of you. The tentacle lasts for 1 minute, or until you use this feature to create another tentacle. When you create the tentacle, you can make a melee spell attack against one creature within 10 feet of it. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 cold damage, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. When you reach 10th level in this class, the damage increases to 2d8. As a bonus action on your turn, you can move the tentacle up to 30 feet and repeat the attack. You can summon the tentacle a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. At 1st level, you gain Gift of the Sea, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You are now granted a swimming speed of 40 feet, and you can now breathe underwater. At 6th level, you gain Oceanic Soul and Guardian Coil, features granted by your otherworldly patron. With Oceanic Soul, you are now even more at home in the depths. You gain resistance to cold damage. In addition, when you are fully submerged, any creature that is also fully submerged can understand your speech, and you can understand theirs. With Guardian Coil, your tentacle of the deeps can defend you and others, interposing itself between them and harm. When you or a creature you can see takes damage while within 10 feet of the tentacle, you can use your reaction to choose one of those creatures and reduce the damage to that creature by 1d8. When you reach 10th level in this class, the damage reduced by the tentacle increases to 2d8. At 10th level, you gain Grasping Tentacles, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You learn the spell Evard's Black Tentacles. It counts as a Warlock spell for you, but it doesn't count against the number of spells you know. You can also cast it once without a spell slot, and you regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. Whenever you cast this spell, your patron's magic bolsters you, granting you a number of temporary hit points equal to your Warlock level. Moreover, damage can't break your concentration on this spell. At 14th level, you gain Fathomless Plunge, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You can magically open temporary conduits to watery destinations. As an action, you can teleport yourself and up to 5 other willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you. Amid a whirl of tentacles, you all vanish and then reappear up to 1 mile away in a body of water you've seen pond size or larger, or within 30 feet of it, each of you appearing in an unoccupied space within 30 feet of the others. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Patron of the Fiend. You have made a pact with a fiend from the lower planes of existence, a being whose aims are evil, even if you strive against those aims. Such beings desire the corruption or destruction of all things, ultimately including you. Fiends powerful enough to forge a pact include demon lords such as Demogorgon, Orcus, Frazer Blue, and Baphomet. Archdevils such as Asmodeus, Dispater, Mephistopheles, and Belial. Pit fiends and Balors that are especially mighty, and Ultraloths and other lords of the Yugoloth. The Fiend lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At 1st level, you gain the Burning Hands and Command spells. At 2nd level, you gain the Blindness, Deafness, and Scorching Ray spells. At 3rd level, you gain the Fireball and Stinking Cloud spells. At 4th level, you gain the Fire Shield and Wall of Fire spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Flame Strike and Hallow spells. Dark One's Blessing. Starting at 1st level, when you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Charisma modifier plus your Warlock level with a minimum of 1. At 6th level, you gain the Dark One's Own Luck feature, granted by your otherworldly patron. You can call on your patron to alter fate in your favor. When you make an ability check or a saving throw, you can use this feature to add a d10 to your roll. You can do so after seeing the initial roll, but before any of the roll's effects occur. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. At 10th level, you gain a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You can choose one damage type when you finish a short or long rest. You gain resistance to that damage type until you choose a different one with this feature. Damage from magical weapons or silver weapons ignores this resistance. At 14th level, you gain Hurl Through Hell, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. When you hit a creature with an attack, you can use this feature to instantly transport the target through the lower planes. The creature disappears and hurtles through a nightmare landscape. At the end of your next turn, the target returns to the space it previously occupied, or the nearest unoccupied space. If the target is not a fiend, It takes 10d10 psychic damage as it reels from its horrific experience. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Patron of the Genie. You have made a pact with one of the rarest kinds of genie, a noble genie. Such entities rule vast fiefs on the elemental planes and have great influence over lesser genies and elemental creatures. Noble genies are varied in their motivations, but most are arrogant and wield power that rivals that of lesser deities. They delight in turning the table on mortals, who often bind genies into servitude and readily enter into pacts that expand their reach. You choose your patron's kind by using the genie kind table, or determine it randomly by rolling a d4. On a 1, your genie patron is Tao kind, with the element of earth. On a 2, your genie patron is Jinni kind, with the element of air. On a 3, your genie patron is Efreeti kind, with the element of fire. And on a 4, your genie patron is Marit kind, with the element of water. Expanded spell list. The genie lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The Genie Expanded Spells table shows the genie spells that are added to the Warlock spell list for you, along with the spells associated in the table with your patron's kind: Tao, Jinni, Efreeti, or Marid. Genie spells for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 9th levels are as follows: Detect Evil and Good, Phantasmal Force, Create Food and Water, Phantasmal Killer, Creation and Wish. Tao spells for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th levels are as follows: Sanctuary, Spike Growth, Meld into Stone, Stone Shape, and Wall of Stone. Jinni spells for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th levels are as follows: Thunderwave, Gust of Wind, Wind Wall, Greater Invisibility, and Seeming. Efreeti spells for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th levels are as follows: Burning Hands, Scorching Ray, Fireball, Fire Shield, and Flame Strike. Marid spells for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th spells are as follows: Fog, Cloud, Blur, Sleet Storm, Control Water, and Cone of Cold. Genie's Vessel. At 1st level, your patron gifts you a magical vessel that grants you a measure of the genie's power. The vessel is a tiny object, and you can use it as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells. You decide what the object is, or you can determine what it is randomly by rolling on the genie's vessel table. Types of genie vessels. Roll a d6 to determine the type of vessel given to you by your patron. On a 1, you are given an oil lamp. On a 2, you are given an urn. On a 3, you are given a ring with a compartment. On a 4, you are given a stoppered bottle. On a 5, you are given a hollow statuette. And on a 6, you are given an ornate lantern. While you are touching the vessel, you can use it in the following ways. Bottled Respite. As an action, you can magically vanish and enter your vessel, which remains in the space you left. The interior of the vessel is an extra-dimensional space in the shape of a 20-foot radius cylinder, 20 feet high, and resembles your vessel. The interior is appointed with cushions and low tables and is a comfortable temperature. While inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in its space. You can remain inside the vessel up to a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You exit the vessel early if you use a bonus action to leave if you die, or if the vessel is destroyed. When you exit the vessel, you appear in the unoccupied space closest to it. Any objects left in the vessel remain there until carried out, and if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in the unoccupied spaces closest to the vessel's former space. Once you enter the vessel, you can't enter again until you finish a long rest. Genie's Wrath. Once during each of your turns when you hit with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. The type of this damage is determined by your patron. Bludgeoning damage if your genie patron is of Tao kind, thunder damage if your genie patron is of Jinni kind, fire damage if your genie patron is of Efreeti kind, or cold damage if your genie patron is of Marid kind. The vessel's AC equals your spell save DC. Its hit points equal your Warlock level plus your proficiency bonus, and it is immune to poison and psychic damage. If the vessel is destroyed or you lose it, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and the previous vessel is destroyed if it still exists. The vessel vanishes in a flare of elemental power when you die. At 6th level, you gain the elemental gift feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You begin to take on characteristics of your patron's kind. You now have resistance to a damage type determined by your patron's kind. Bludgeoning resistance if your genie patron is of Dao kind. Thunder resistance if your genie patron is of Jinni kind. Fire resistance if your genie patron is of Efreeti kind. Or cold resistance if your genie patron is of Marid kind. In addition, as a bonus action, you can give yourself a flying speed of 30 feet that lasts for 10 minutes, during which you can hover. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. At 10th level, you gain Sanctuary Vessel, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. When you enter your genie's vessel via the Bottled Respite feature, you can now choose up to 5 willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you, and the chosen creatures are drawn into the vessel with you. As a bonus action, you can eject any number of creatures from the vessel, and everyone is ejected if you leave or die, or if the vessel is destroyed. In addition, anyone, including you who remains within the vessel for at least 10 minutes, gains the benefit of finishing a short rest, and anyone can add your proficiency bonus to the number of hit points they regain if they spend any hit dice as part of a short rest there. At 14th level, you gain Limited Wish, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You entreat your patron to grant you a small wish. As an action, you can speak your desire to your genie's vessel, requesting the effect of one spell that is of 6th level or lower and has a casting time of 1 action. The spell can be from any class's spell list, and you don't need to meet the casting requirements for that spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect as part of this action. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish 1d4 long rests. Patron of the Great Old One. Your patron is a mysterious entity whose nature is utterly foreign to the fabric of reality. It might come from the far realm, the space beyond reality, or it could be one of the elder gods known only in legends. Its motives are incomprehensible to mortals, and its knowledge so immense and ancient that even the greatest libraries pale in comparison to the vast secrets it holds. The Great Old One might be unaware of your existence or entirely indifferent to you, but the secrets you have learned allow you to draw your magic from it. Entities of this type include Gaunadar, named That Which Lurks, Tharisdan, the Chained God, Dendar, the Night Serpent, Zargan, the Returner, Great Cthulhu, and other unfathomable beings. Expanded Spell List. The Great Old One lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At 1st level, you gain the Dissonant Whispers and Tasha's Hideous Laughter spells. At 2nd level, you gain the Detect Thoughts and Phantasmal Force spells. At 3rd level, you gain the Clairvoyance and Sending spells. At 4th level, you gain the Dominate Beast and Evard's Black Tentacles spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Dominate Person and Telekinesis spells. Awakened Mind. Starting at 1st level, your alien knowledge gives you the ability to touch the minds of other creatures. You can telepathically speak to any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You don't need to share a language with the creature for it to understand your telepathic utterances, but the creature must be able to understand at least one language. At 6th level, you gain Entropic Ward, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You learn to magically ward yourself against attack and to turn an enemy's failed strike into good luck for yourself. When a creature makes an attack roll against you, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on that roll. If the attack misses you, your next attack roll against the creature has advantage if you make it before the end of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. At 10th level, you gain Thought Shield, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. Your thoughts can no longer be read by telepathy or other means unless you allow it. You also have resistance to psychic damage, and whenever a creature deals psychic damage to you, that creature takes the same amount of damage in return as a result. At 14th level, you gain Create Thrall, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You gain the ability to infect a humanoid's mind with the alien magic of your patron. You can use your action to touch an incapacitated humanoid. That creature is then charmed by you until a Remove Curse spell is cast on it. The charmed condition is removed from it, or you use this feature again. You can communicate telepathically with the charmed creature as long as the two of you are on the same plane of existence. Patron of the Hexblade. You have made your pact with a mysterious entity from the Shadowfell, a force that manifests in sentient magic weapons carved from the stuff of shadow. The mighty sword Blackrazor is the most notable of these weapons, which have been spread across the multiverse over the ages. The shadowy force behind these weapons can offer power to warlocks who form pacts with it. Many Hexblade warlocks create weapons that emulate those formed in the Shadowfell. Others forego such arms, content to weave the dark magic of that plane into their spellcasting. Because the Raven Queen is known to have forged the first of these weapons, many sages speculate that she and the Force are one, and that the weapons, along with Hexblade warlocks, are tools she uses to manipulate events on the material plane to her inscrutable ends. Expanded Spell List. The Hexblade lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At 1st level, you gain the Shield and Wrathful Smite spells. At 2nd level, you gain the Blur and Branding Smite spells. At 3rd level, you gain the Blink and Elemental Weapon spells. At 4th level, you gain the Phantasmal Killer and Staggering Smite spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Banishing Smite and Cone of Cold spells. Hexblade's Curse. Starting at 1st level, you gain the ability to place a baleful curse on someone. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. The target is cursed for 1 minute. The curse ends early if the target dies, you die, or you are incapacitated. Until the curse ends, you gain the following benefits. You gain a bonus to damage rolls against the cursed target. The bonus equals your proficiency bonus. Any attack roll you make against the cursed target is a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20. If the cursed target dies, you regain hit points equal to your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. You can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. Hex Warrior. At 1st level, you acquire the training necessary to effectively arm yourself for battle. You gain proficiency with medium armor, shields, and martial weapons. The influence of your patron also allows you to mystically channel your will through a particular weapon. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch one weapon with which you are proficient and lacks the two-handed property. When you attack with that weapon, you can use your Charisma modifier instead of Strength or Dexterity for the attack and damage rolls. This benefit lasts until you finish a long rest. If you later gain the Pact of the Blade feature, this benefit extends to every Pact weapon you conjure with that feature, no matter the weapon's type. At 6th level, you gain Accursed Spectre, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You can curse the soul of a person you slay, temporarily binding it to your service. When you slay a humanoid, You can cause its spirit to rise from its corpse as a spectre, the statistics for which are in the monster manual. When the spectre appears, it gains temporary hit points equal to half your warlock level. Roll initiative for the spectre, which has its own turns. It obeys your verbal commands, and it gains a special bonus to its attack rolls equal to your charisma modifier. The spectre remains in your service until the end of your next long rest, at which point it vanishes to the afterlife. Once you bind a spectre with this feature, you can't use the feature again until you finish a long rest. At 10th level, you gain Armor of Hexes, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. Your hex grows more powerful. If the target cursed by your Hexblade's curse hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to roll a d6. On a 4 or higher, the attack instead misses you regardless of its roll. At 14th level, you gain Master of Hexes, a feature granted by your otherworldly patron. You can spread your Hexblade's curse from a slain creature to another creature. When the creature cursed by your Hexblade's curse dies, you can apply the curse to a different creature you can see within 30 feet of you, provided you aren't incapacitated. When you apply the curse in this way, you don't regain hit points from the death of the previously cursed creature. Patron of the Lurker in the Deep. You made a pact with an entity that lurks somewhere deep in the ocean, or even on the elemental plane of water, such as a mighty kraken, an ancient primordial, or a monstrous being from creation's earliest days. You serve as this creature's eyes and ears, watching the world beyond its domain and reporting your findings. You may have gained this pact as a member of a cult dedicated to this entity, or after your patron saved your life when you nearly drowned at sea. Expanded spell list. The Lurker in the Deep lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At 1st level, you gain the Create or Destroy Water and Thunder spells. At 2nd level, you gain the Gust of Wind and Silence spells. At 3rd level, you gain the Lightning Bolt and Sleet Storm spells. At 4th level, you gain the Control Water and Avard's Black Tentacles spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Commune with Nature and Cone of Cold spells. Grasp of the Deep. At 1st level, you gain the ability to magically summon a spectral tentacle that strikes at your foes. As a bonus action, you create a 10-foot-long tentacle at a point you can see within 60 feet of you. The tentacle lasts for 1 minute, or until you use this feature to create another tentacle. When you create another tentacle, you can make a melee spell attack against a creature within 10 feet of you. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 cold or lightning damage per your choice, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. When you reach 10th level in the class, the damage dealt by the tentacle is increased to 2d8. As a bonus action on your turn, you can move the tentacle up to 30 feet and repeat the attack. You can summon the tentacle a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, and you regain all expended uses on a long rest. Sign of the Deep. At 1st level, your patron accepts you into its inner court of servitors. You can telepathically communicate with any aberration, beast, elemental, or monstrosity that has an innate swimming speed, while it is within 120 feet of you. The creature can understand you and respond telepathically. Fathomless Soul. At 6th level, your patron grants you greater abilities. You gain the following benefits. You can breathe both air and water. You gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed, and you gain resistance to cold damage. Guardian Grasp. At 6th level, the tentacle you create with Grasp of the Deep can defend you and others. When you or a creature you can see takes damage while within 10 feet of the tentacle, you can use your reaction to choose one of those creatures and reduce the damage done to the chosen creature by half. After doing so, the tentacle vanishes. Devouring Maw. Starting at 10th level, you can magically draw forth a manifestation of your patron's insatiable hunger. As an action, choose a point you can see within 60 feet of you. For 1 minute, a translucent maw manifests in a 10-foot radius centered on that point. Each creature in that area when the maw appears must succeed on a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be restrained. Any creature that starts its turn in the maw's area takes 3d6 cold or lightning damage per your choice. As an action, a restrained creature can repeat the saving throw, ending the restraint on a success. At the start of your turn, if there is a creature in the maw's area, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Warlock level. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Unleash the depths. Starting at 14th level, you gain the ability to call upon your patron for aid. As an action, you choose a point within 30 feet of you where your patron tears through reality, manifesting a measure of its thalassic grandeur. Choose one of the following effects to issue from this manifestation point. Once you use either effect, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Transport. You and up to 5 willing creatures of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of the manifestation point are grasped by the spectral tentacles and yanked through your patron's realm. The tentacles teleport you and the chosen creatures to a point of your choice within 100 miles that you have visited within the past 24 hours. Then the tentacles vanish. Fury. You can direct a barrage of spectral tentacles to issue forth and strike up to 5 creatures you can see within 30 feet of the manifestation point. Each target must make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature takes 6d10 cold or lightning damage per your choice and is knocked prone. On a successful save, it takes half as much damage and is not knocked prone. The tentacles then vanish. Patron of the Noble Genie. You made a pact with one of the rarest of genie kind, a noble genie. Such entities are rulers of vast fiefs on the elemental planes and have great influence over lesser genies and elemental creatures. Noble genies are varied in their motivations, but are all arrogant collectors of creatures, knowledge, and treasure. A genie values their collection and will protect that which they claim ownership. Through your connection to the noble, you can leverage their influence and extend their ownership of things in the multiverse. The Noble Genie lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At first level, you gain the Fog, Cloud, and Sleep spells. At second level, you gain the Enlarge, Reduce, and Phantasmal Force spells. At third level, you gain the Create Food and Water and Protection from Energy spells. At fourth level, you gain the Polymorph and Phantasmal Killer spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Bigby's Hand and Creation spells. Collector's Vessel. At 1st level, your patron gives you a magical vessel with which you can bind a creature to you and to your patron's menagerie. The vessel is a tiny object, and it is a spellcasting focus for you. If you lose your vessel, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous vessel. The vessel vanishes in a flare of elemental power when you die. As an action while you are holding the vessel, you target a willing creature you can see within 100 feet of you and create a tether of wispy elemental material that links the target to you. The tether lasts for 1 hour until you use this feature to create another tether until the bound target is reduced to 0 hit points or until the target ends its turn more than 100 feet from you. While you are tethered to a creature, you gain the following benefits. You gain a bonus to your wisdom checks with regard to your perception equal to your charisma modifier. When you can cast a spell, you can deliver the spell from your space or the bound creature's space. You can create the tether a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Elemental resistance. Starting at 6th level, your patron grants you protection from an element. Whenever you finish a long rest, you gain resistance to acid, cold, fire, or lightning damage per your choice until the end of your next long rest. While the tether of your collector's vessel is active, the tethered creature gains resistance to the damage type you chose. Protective Wish. Beginning at 10th level, you're now able to use your collector's vessel to wish for protection for yourself or your tethered creature. If you or the tethered creature is hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to teleport, swapping places with the creature and switching which one of you is hit by the attack. Genie's Entertainment. Starting at 10th level as an action, you can attempt to send a creature you can see within 90 feet to your patron's court. The target must succeed on a charisma saving throw against your Warlock spell save DC, or be magically drawn into your vessel and teleported to your patron's court in the elemental planes. While there, the target is stunned and your patron marvels at the target with amusement, but brings no harm to it. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, reappearing in the space it left, or in the nearest unoccupied space if that space is occupied on a success. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. If the target remains in your patron's court for 1 minute, the genie sends the target back at the end of its turn as if it successfully saved, and you regain the use of this feature. Collector's Call. At 14th level, in exchange for extending your patron's influence over the multiverse, you can call on more of their power. As an action, you can implore your patron for aid by making a charisma check with regard to persuasion against your Warlock spell save DC. If the check succeeds, you can choose one of the following effects. A creature you can see within 60 feet of you regains 8d6 hit points and ends 1 disease or condition afflicting it. Blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. A creature you can see within 60 feet of you has disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. You cast the Legend Lore spell without material components. Whether the check succeeds or fails, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Alternatively, you can regain the use of this feature by sacrificing non-magical treasure worth at least 500 gold pieces to your patron. This sacrifice requires the treasure to be within 10 feet of you for at least 1 minute, at the end of which you use an action to teleport the treasure to your patron's realm, provided you have the vessel with regard to your collector in hand. Patron of the Raven Queen. Your patron is the Raven Queen, a mysterious being who rules the Shadowfell from a palace of ice deep within that dread realm. The Raven Queen watches over the world, anticipating each creature's death and ensuring that it meets its end at the prescribed time and place. As the ruler of the Shadowfell, she dwells in a decayed, dark reflection of the world. Her ability to reach into the world is limited. Thus, she turns to mortal warlocks to serve her will. Warlocks sworn to the Raven Queen receive visions and whispers from her in their dreams, sending them on quests and warning them of impending dangers. The Raven Queen's followers are expected to serve her will in the world. She concerns herself with ensuring that those fated to die pass from the world as expected, and bids her agents to defeat those who seek to cheat death through undeath or other imitations of immortality. She hates intelligent undead and expects her followers to strike them down, whereas mindless undead such as skeletons and zombies are little more than stumbling automatons in her eyes. The Raven Queen lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At first level, you gain the False Life and Sanctuary spells. At 2nd level, you gain the Silence and Spiritual Weapon spells. At 3rd level, you gain the Feign Death and Speak with Dead spells. At 4th level, you gain the Ice Storm and Locate Creature spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Commune and Cone of Cold spells. Sentinel Raven. Starting at 1st level, you gain the service of a spirit sent by the Raven Queen to watch over you. The spirit assumes the form and game statistics of a raven, and it always obeys your commands, which you can give telepathically while it is within 100 feet of you. While the raven is perched on your shoulder, you gain dark vision with a range of 30 feet and a bonus to your passive wisdom scores and checks with regard to perception. The bonus equals your charisma modifier. While perched on your shoulder, the raven can't be targeted by any attack or other harmful effect. Only you can cast spells on it. It can't take damage, and it is incapacitated. You can see through the raven's eyes and hear what it hears while it is within 100 feet of you. In combat, you roll initiative for the raven and control how it acts. If it is slain by a creature, you gain advantage on all attack rolls against the killer for the next 24 hours. The raven doesn't require sleep. While it is within 100 feet of you, it can awaken you from sleep as a bonus action. The raven vanishes when it dies if you die, or if the two of you are separated by more than 5 miles. At the end of a short or long rest, you can call the raven back, and it reappears within 5 feet of you, no matter where it is or whether it died. Soul of the Raven. At 6th level, you gain the ability to merge with your raven spirit. As a bonus action, when your raven is perched on your shoulder, your body merges with your raven's form. While merged, you become tiny. You replace your speed with the raven's, and you can use your action only to dash, disengage, dodge, help, hide, or search. During this time, you gain the benefits of your raven being perched on your shoulder. As an action, you and the raven return to normal. Raven's Shield. At 10th level, the Raven Queen grants you a protective blessing. You gain advantage on death saving throws, immunity to the frightened condition, and resistance to necrotic damage. Queen's Right Hand. Starting at 14th level, you can channel the Raven Queen's power to slay a creature. You can cast the Finger of Death spell. After you cast the spell with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Patron of the Seeker. Your patron is an inscrutable being who travels the astral plane in search of knowledge and secrets. In return for your patron's gifts, you wander the world seeking lore that you can share with the Seeker. Your patron could be any deity or other powerful entity dedicated to knowledge or forgotten lore. Celestian is an ideal patron for a Greyhawk campaign and was the inspiration for this concept. In the Forgotten Realms, your patron might be Azoth or Ogma. Orion makes an excellent patron in Eberron, while in Kryn and the Dragonlance campaign setting, Jillian is a good match for the Seeker's role. Expanded Spell List. The Seeker lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At 1st level, you gain the Feather Fall and Jump spells. At 2nd level, you gain the Levitate and Locate object spells. At 3rd level, you gain the Clairvoyance and Sending spells. At 4th level, you gain the Arcane Eye and Locate creature spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Legend Lore and Pass Wall spells. Shielding Aurora. Starting at 1st level, you can invoke the Seeker's power to protect you from harm. As a bonus action, you create a whirling aurora of brilliant energy that swirls around you. Until the end of your next turn, you gain resistance to all damage, and if a hostile creature ends its turn within 10 feet of you, it takes radiant damage equal to your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Pact of the Star Chain. At 3rd level, a character dedicated to the Seeker can select this option, instead of one of the Warlock's existing Pact boon options. The Seeker grants you a chain forged from starlight, decorated with 7 gleaming motes of brightness. While the chain is on your person, you know the augury spell and can cast it as a ritual. The spell doesn't count against your number of spells known. Additionally, you can invoke the Seeker's power to gain advantage on an intelligence check while you carry this item. Once you use this ability, you cannot use it again until you complete a short or long rest. If you lose your star chain, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from the Seeker. The ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous chain. The chain disappears in a flash of light when you die. The exact form of this item might be different depending on your patron. The star chain is inspired by the Greyhawk deity Celestian. Astral Refuge. At 6th level, you gain the ability to step into an astral refuge. As an action, you disappear from the world for a brief moment and enter the astral plane, taking advantage of its timeless nature. While in your astral refuge, you can take 2 actions to cast spells that target only you. After using those 2 actions, you return to the space you occupied and your turn ends. Far Wanderer. At 10th level, you no longer need to breathe, and you gain resistance to fire damage and cold damage. Astral Sequestration. Starting at 14th level, you gain the ability to sequester yourself and your allies on the astral plane. By performing a special ritual over the course of 5 minutes, you shift yourself and up to 10 willing creatures you can see to the astral plane. You and those creatures gain the benefits of a short rest while sequestered on the astral plane. You then return to the spaces you all occupied when you used this ability, with no time having passed in the world. During this short rest, you and the creatures you sequester can make use of any options available during a rest that affect only you and the creatures you sequester. Once you use this ability, you cannot use it again until you complete a long rest. Patron of the Undead. You've made a pact with a deathless being, a creature that defies the cycle and life and death, forsaking its mortal shell so it might eternally pursue its unfathomable ambitions. For such beings, time and morality are fleeting things, the concerns of those for whom grains of sand still rush through life's hourglass. Having once been mortal themselves, these ancient undead know firsthand the paths of ambition and the routes past the doors of death. They eagerly share this profane knowledge, along with other secrets, with those who work their will among the living. Beings of this type include the Demolic Acererak, the vampire tyrant Cast the Bloody-Handed, the Githyanki Lick Queen Vlokith, the Dracolic Dragotha, the undead Pharaoh Anktipot, and the elusive Dark Lord Azalin Rex. At 1st level, the undead lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At 1st level, you gain the Bane and False Life spells. At 2nd level, you gain the Blindness, Deafness, and Phantasmal Force spells. At 3rd level, you gain the Phantom Steed and Speak with Dead spells. At 4th level, you gain the Death Ward and Greater Invisibility spells. And at 5th level, you gain the Anti-Life Shell and Cloudkill spells. Form of Dread. At 1st level, you manifest an aspect of your patron's dreadful power. As a bonus action, you transform for 1 minute. You gain the following benefits while transformed. You gain temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus your Warlock level. Once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack, you can force it to make a Wisdom saving throw, and if the saving throw fails, the target is frightened of you until the end of your next turn. You are immune to the frightened condition. You can transform a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. The appearance of your form of dread reflects some aspect of your patron. For example, your form could be a shroud of shadows forming the crown and robes of your lit patron, or your body might glow with glyphs from ancient funerary rites and be surrounded by desert winds, suggesting your mummy patron. Grave Touched. At 6th level, your patron's powers have a profound effect on your body and magic. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. In addition, once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack and roll damage against the creature, you can replace the damage type with necrotic damage. While you are using your form of dread, you can roll one additional damage die when determining the necrotic damage the target takes. Necrotic Husk. At 10th level, your connection to undeath and necrotic energy now saturates your body. You have resistance to necrotic damage. If you are transformed using your form of dread, you instead become immune to necrotic damage. In addition, when you are reduced to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to drop to 1 hit point instead and cause your body to erupt with deathly energy. Each creature of your choice that is within 30 feet of you takes necrotic damage equal to 2d10 plus your Warlock level. You then gain 1 level of exhaustion. Once you use this reaction, you can't do so again until you finish 1d4 long rests. Spirit Projection. At 14th level, your spirit can become untethered from your physical form. As an action, you can project your spirit from your body. The body you leave behind is unconscious and in a state of suspended animation. Your spirit resembles your mortal form in almost every way, replicating game statistics, but not your possessions. Any damage or other effects that apply to your spirit or physical body affects the other. Your spirit can remain outside your body for up to 1 hour, or until your concentration is broken as if concentrating on a spell. When your projection ends, your spirit returns to your body, or your body magically teleports to your spirit space, per your choice. While projecting your spirit, you gain the following benefits. Your spirit and body gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. When you cast a spell of the Conjuration or Necromancy school, the spell doesn't require verbal or somatic components or material components that lack a gold cost. You have a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. You can move through creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but you take 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside a creature or an object. While you are using your form of dread, once during each of your turns when you deal necrotic damage to a creature, you regain hit points equal to half the amount of necrotic damage dealt. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Patron of the Undying. Death holds no sway over your patron, who has unlocked the secrets of everlasting life, although such a prize like all power comes at a price. Once mortal, the Undying has seen mortal lifetimes pass like the seasons, like the flicker of endless days and nights. It has the secrets of the ages to share, secrets of life and death. Beings of this sort include Vecna, Lord of the Hand and the Eye, the Dread Eus, the Lich Queen Vol, the Undying Court of Erenal, Vlokith, Lich Queen of the Githyanki, and the Deathless Wizard Fistandantalus. In the realms, Undying patrons include Larlock, the Shadow King, legendary master of Warlock's Crypt, and Gil'jaem, the God King of Anet. The Undying lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At first level, you gain the False Life and Ray of Sickness spells. At second level, you gain the Blindness, Deafness, and Silence spells. At third level, you gain the Feign Death and Speak with Dead spells. At fourth level, you gain the Aura of Life and Death ward spells. And at fifth level, you gain the Contagion and Legend lore spells. Among the Dead. Starting at first level, you learn the Spare the Dying cantrip, which counts as a Warlock cantrip for you. You also have advantage on saving throws against any disease. Additionally, undead have difficulty harming you. If an undead targets you directly with an attack or a harmful spell, that creature must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. An undead needn't make the save when it includes you in an area effect, such as the explosion of Fireball. On a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or forfeit, targeting someone instead of you, potentially wasting the attack or spell. On a successful save, the creature is immune to this effect for 24 hours. An undead is also immune to this effect for 24 hours if you target it with an attack or a harmful spell. Defy death. Starting at 6th level, you can give yourself vitality when you cheat death, or when you help someone else cheat it. You can regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your constitution modifier at a minimum of 1 hit point when you succeed on a death saving throw, or when you stabilize a creature with Spare the Dying. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Undying nature. Beginning at 10th level, you can hold your breath indefinitely, and you don't require food, water, or sleep, although you still require rest to reduce exhaustion and still benefit from finishing short and long rests. In addition, you age at a slower rate. For every 10 years that pass, your body ages only 1 year, and you are immune to being magically aged. Indestructible life. When you reach 14th level, you partake of some of the true secrets of the Undying. On your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your Warlock level. Additionally, if you put a severed body part of yours back in place, when you use this feature, the part reattaches. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Patron of the Undying Light. Your patron is not a specific entity, but the energy that radiates from the positive plane. Your pact allows you to experience the barest touch of the raw stuff of life that powers the multiverse. Anything more, and you would be instantly incinerated by its energy. Contact with the positive plane causes subtle changes to your behavior and beliefs. You are driven to bring light to dark places, to annihilate undead creatures, and to protect all living things. At the same time, you crave the light and find total darkness, a suffocating experience akin to drowning. As an optional way to add more flavor to your character, you can pick from or roll on the following table of flaws associated with Warlocks of the Undying Light. Roll a d6 to randomly choose your character's flaw. On a 1, you are afraid of the dark and must always have a light source at hand. On a 2, you have a nervous compulsion to keep a bright light in even the barest shadow. On a 3, you have a compulsion to enter and illuminate dark areas. On a 4, you have an overwhelming hatred of undead creatures. On a 5, you fidget and are irritable when you can't see the sun. And on a 6, in a dark area, you always carry a lit torch or lantern. Putting it down is an unbearable thought. Expanded spell list. The Undying Light lets you choose from an expanded list of spells when you learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. At 1st level, you gain the Burning Hands spell. At 2nd level, you gain the Flaming Sphere spell. At 3rd level, you gain the Daylight spell. At 4th level, you gain the Fire Shield spell. And at 5th level, you gain the Flame Strike spell. Radiant Soul. Starting at 1st level, your link to the positive plane allows you to serve as a conduit for radiant energy. You have resistance to radiant damage, and when you cast a spell that deals radiant damage or fire damage, you add your charisma modifier to that damage. Additionally, you know the light and sacred flame cantrips and can cast them at will. They don't count against your number of cantrips known. Searing Vengeance. Starting at 6th level, the radiant energy you channel allows you to overcome grievous injuries. When you would make a death saving throw, you can instead spring back to your feet with a burst of radiant energy. You immediately stand up if you so choose, and you regain hit points equal to half your hit point maximum. All hostile creatures within 30 feet of you take 10 plus your charisma modifier radiant damage and are blinded until the end of your turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Radiant Resistance. Starting at 10th level, you gain temporary hit points whenever you finish a long or short rest. These temporary hit points equal your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. Additionally, choose up to 5 creatures you can see at the end of your rest. Those creatures gain temporary hit points equal to half your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. Healing Light. At 14th level, you gain the ability to channel the undying light to heal yourself and other creatures. As a bonus action, you can touch a creature and heal it. With each touch, a creature regains from 1d6 to 5d6 hit points per your choice. You have a total pool of 15d6 you can expend. Subtract the dice you use with each touch from that total. You regain all expended dice from your pool when you finish a long rest. Eldritch Invocations. In your study of occult lore, you have unearthed eldritch invocations, fragments of forbidden knowledge that imbue you with an abiding magical ability. At 2nd level, you gain 2 eldritch invocations of your choice. A list of the available options can be found below. When you gain certain Warlock levels, you gain additional invocations of your choice, as shown in the Invocations Known column of the Warlock table. Additionally, when you gain a level in this class, you can choose one of the invocations you know and replace it with another invocation that you could learn at that level. If an eldritch invocation has prerequisites, you must meet them to learn it. You can learn the invocation at the same time that you meet its prerequisites. A level prerequisite refers to your level in this class. Agonizing Blast. Prerequisite. You must have the Eldritch Blast cantrip. When you cast Eldritch Blast, add your Charisma modifier to the damage it deals on a hit. Armor of Shadows. You can cast Mage Armor on yourself at will, without expending a spell slot or material components. Ascendant Step. Prerequisite. Your character must have at least reached level 9. You can cast Levitate on yourself at will, without expending a spell slot or material components. Aspect of the Moon. Prerequisite. You must have the Pact of the Tome feature. You no longer need to sleep and can't be forced to sleep by any means. To gain the benefits of a long rest, you can spend all 8 hours doing light activity, such as reading your Book of Shadows and keeping watch. Beast Speech. You can cast Speak with animals at will, without expending a spell slot. Beguiling Influence. You gain proficiency in the deception and persuasion skills. Bewitching Whispers. Prerequisite. Your character must have at least reached level 7. You can cast Compulsion once using a Warlock spell slot. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Bond of the Talisman. Prerequisite. Your character must have at least reached level 12 and have the Pact of the Talisman feature. While someone else is wearing your talisman, you can use your action to teleport to the unoccupied space closest to them, provided the two of you are on the same plane of existence. The wearer of your talisman can do the same thing, using their action to teleport to you. The teleportation can be used a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and all expended uses are restored when you finish a long rest. Book of Ancient Secrets. Prerequisite. You must have the Pact of the Tome feature. You can now inscribe magical rituals in your Book of Shadows. Choose 2 first-level spells that have the ritual tag from any class's spell list. The 2 needn't be from the same list. The spells appear in the book and don't count against the number of spells you know. With your Book of Shadows in hand, you can cast the chosen spells as rituals. You can't cast the spells except as rituals unless you've learned them by some other means. You can also cast a Warlock spell you know as a ritual if it has the ritual tag. On your adventures, you can add other ritual spells to your Book of Shadows. When you find such a spell, you can add it to the book if the spell's level is equal to or less than half your Warlock level rounded up, and if you can spare the time to transcribe the spell. For each level of the spell, the transcription process takes 2 hours and costs 50 gold for the rare inks needed to inscribe it. Chains of Carcery. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 1-5 and have the Pact of the Chain feature. You can cast Hold Monster at will, targeting a celestial, fiend, or elemental without expending a spell slot or material components. You must finish a long rest before you can use this invocation on the same creature again. Cloak of Flies. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 5. As a bonus action, you can surround yourself with a magical aura that looks like buzzing flies. The aura extends 5 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. It lasts until you're incapacitated or you dismiss it as a bonus action. The aura grants you advantage on charisma intimidation checks, but disadvantage on all other charisma checks. Any other creature that starts its turn in the aura takes poison damage equal to your charisma modifier minimum of 0 damage. Once you use this invocation, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Devil's Sight. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 120 feet. Dreadful Word. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 7. You can cast Confusion once using a Warlock spell slot. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Eldritch Mind. You have advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain your concentration on a spell. Eldritch Sight. You can cast Detect Magic at will without expending a spell slot or material components. Eldritch Smite. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 5 and have the Pact of the Blade feature. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with your Pact weapon, you can expend a Warlock spell slot to deal an extra 1d8 force damage to the target, plus another 1d8 per level of the spell slot, and you can knock the target prone if it is huge or smaller. Eldritch Spear. Prerequisite: you must have the Eldritch Blast cantrip. When you cast Eldritch Blast, its range is 300 feet. Eyes of the Runekeeper. You can read all writing. Far Scribe. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 5 and have the Pact of the Tome feature. A new page appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number of names equal to your proficiency bonus. You can cast the Sending spell, targeting a creature whose name is on the page without using a spell slot and without using material components. To do so, you must write the message on the page. The target hears the message in their mind, and if the target replies, their message appears on the page rather than in your mind. The writing disappears after 1 minute. As an action, you can magically erase a name on the page by touching it. Fiendish Vigor. You can cast False Life on yourself at will as a first level spell, without expending a spell slot or material components. Gaze of Two Minds. You can use your action to touch a willing humanoid and perceive through its senses until the end of your next turn. As long as the creature is on the same plane of existence as you can use your action on subsequent turns to maintain this connection, extending the duration until the end of your next turn. While perceiving through the other creature's senses, you benefit from any special senses possessed by that creature, and you are blinded and deafened to your own surroundings. Ghostly Gaze. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 7. As an action, you gain the ability to see through solid objects to a range of 30 feet. Within that range, you have dark vision if you don't already have it. This special sight lasts for 1 minute, or until your concentration ends, as if you were concentrating on a spell. During that time, you perceive objects as ghostly, transparent images. Once you use this invocation, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Gift of the Depths. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 5. You can breathe underwater, and you gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. You can also cast water breathing without expending a spell slot. You regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. Gift of the Ever-Living Ones. Prerequisite: you must have the Pact of the Chain feature. Whenever you regain hit points, or your familiar is within 100 feet of you, treat any dice rolled to determine the hit points you regain as having rolled their maximum value for you. Gift of the Protectors. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 9 and have the Pact of the Tome feature. A new page appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number of names equal to your proficiency bonus. When any creature whose name is on the page is reduced to 0 hit points, but not killed outright, the creature magically drops to 1 hit point instead. Once this magic is triggered, no creature can benefit from it until you finish a long rest. As an action, you can magically erase a name on the page by touching it. Grasp of Hadar. Prerequisite: you must have the Eldritch Blast cantrip. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with your Eldritch Blast, you can move that creature in a straight line 10 feet closer to yourself. Improved Pact weapon. Prerequisite: you must have the Pact of the Blade feature. You can use any weapon you summon with your Pact of the Blade feature as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells. In addition, the weapon gains a +1 bonus to its attack and damage rolls, unless it is a magic weapon that already has a bonus to those rolls. Finally, the weapon you conjure can be a short bow, longbow, light crossbow, or heavy crossbow. Investment of the Chainmaster. Prerequisite: you must have the Pact of the Chain feature. When you cast Find Familiar, you infuse the summoned familiar with a measure of your eldritch power, granting the creature the following benefits. The familiar gains either a flying speed or a swimming speed, your choice, of 40 feet. As a bonus action, you can command the familiar to take the attack action. The familiar's weapon attacks are considered magical for the purpose of overcoming immunity and resistance to non-magical attacks. If the familiar forces a creature to make a saving throw, it uses your spell save DC. When the familiar takes damage, you can use your reaction to grant it resistance against that damage. Lance of Lethargy. Prerequisite: must have the Eldritch Blast cantrip. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with your Eldritch Blast, you can reduce that creature's speed by 10 feet until the end of your next turn. Life Drinker. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 12 and have the Pact of the Blade feature. When you hit a creature with your Pact weapon, the creature takes extra necrotic damage equal to your Charisma modifier. Maddening Hex. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 5 and have the Hex spell or a Warlock feature that curses. As a bonus action, you cause a psychic disturbance around the target cursed by your Hex spell or by a Warlock feature of yours, such as Hexblade's Curse and Sign of Ill Omen. When you do so, you deal psychic damage to the cursed target and each creature of your choice within 5 feet of it. The psychic damage equals your Charisma modifier with a minimum of 1 damage. To use this invocation, you must be able to see the cursed target, and it must be within 30 feet of you. Mask of Many Faces. You can cast Disguise Self at will without expending a spell slot. Master of Myriad Forms. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 15. You can cast Alter Self at will without expending a spell slot. Minions of Chaos. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 9. You can cast Conjure Elemental once using a Warlock spell slot. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Mire the Mind. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 5. You can cast Slow once using a Warlock spell slot. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Misty Visions. You can cast Silent Image at will without expending a spell slot or material components. One with shadows. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 5. When you are in an area of dim light or darkness, you can use your action to become invisible until you move or take an action or a reaction. Otherworldly Leap. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 9. You can cast Jump at will without expending a spell slot. Protection of the Talisman. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 7 and have the Pact of the Talisman feature. When the wearer of your talisman fails a saving throw, they can add a d4 to the roll, potentially turning the save into a success. This benefit can be used a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and all expended uses are restored when you finish a long rest. Rebuke of the Talisman. Prerequisite: you must have the Pact of the Talisman feature. When the wearer of your talisman is hit by an attacker you can see within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to deal psychic damage to the attacker equal to your proficiency bonus and push it up to 10 feet away from the talisman's wearer. Relentless Hex. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 7 and have the Hex spell or a Warlock feature that curses. Your curse creates a temporary bond between you and your target. As a bonus action, you can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of the target cursed by your Hex spell, or by a Warlock feature of yours, such as Hexblade's Curse and Sign of Ill Omen. To teleport in this way, you must be able to see the cursed target. Repelling Blast. Prerequisite: you must have the Eldritch Blast cantrip. When you hit a creature with Eldritch Blast, you can push the creature up to 10 feet away from you in a straight line. Sculptor of Flesh. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 7. You can cast Polymorph once using a Warlock spell slot. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Shroud of Shadow. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 15. You can cast Invisibility at will without expending a spell slot. Sign of Ill Omen. Prerequisite: your character must have at least reached level 5. You can cast Bestow Curse once using a Warlock spell slot. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Thief of 5 Fates. You can cast Bane once using a Warlock spell slot. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Thirsting Blade. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 5 and have the Pact of the Blade feature. You can attack with your Pact weapon twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. Tomb of Levistus. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 5. As a reaction, when you take damage, you can entomb yourself in ice, which melts away at the end of your next turn. You gain 10 temporary hit points per Warlock level, which take as much of the triggering damage as possible. Immediately after you take the damage, you gain vulnerability to fire damage, your speed is reduced to 0, and you are incapacitated. These effects, including any remaining temporary hit points, all end when the ice melts. Once you use this invocation, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Trickster's Escape. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 7. You can cast Freedom of Movement once on yourself without expending a spell slot. You regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. Undying Servitude. Prerequisite: your character must have attained 5 levels in the Warlock class. You can cast Animate Dead without using a spell slot. Once you do so, you can't cast it in this way again until you finish a long rest. Visions of Distant Realms. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 15. You can cast Arcane Eye at will without expending a spell slot. Voice of the Chainmaster. Prerequisite: you must have the Pact of the Chain feature. You can communicate telepathically with your familiar and perceive through your familiar's senses as long as you are on the same plane of existence. Additionally, while perceiving through your familiar's senses, you can also speak through your familiar in your own voice, even if your familiar is normally incapable of speech. Whispers of the Grave. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 9. You can cast Speak with Dead at will without expending a spell slot. Witch Sight. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 15. You can see the true form of any shape changer or creature concealed by illusion or transmutation magic, while the creature is within 30 feet of you and within line of sight. Unearthed Arcana Eldritch Invocations. Arcane Gunslinger. Prerequisite: you must have the Pact of the Blade feature. You can create a Pact weapon that is a sidearm or long arm, and you can transform a magical sidearm or long arm into your Pact weapon. Burning Hex. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Hexblade. As a bonus action, you cause a target cursed by your Hexblade's curse to take fire damage equal to your charisma modifier with a minimum of 1. Cafon's Beacon. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Great Old One. The Purple Star Cafon is the doom of inexperienced mariners. Those who use its deceptive light to guide their travels invariably come to ruin. You gain proficiency in the deception and stealth skills, and you have advantage on attack rolls against charmed creatures. Chilling Hex. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Hexblade. As a bonus action, you cause frost to swirl around a target cursed by your Hexblade's curse, dealing cold damage to each of your enemies within 5 feet of the target. The cold damage equals your charisma modifier with a minimum of 1. Chronicle of the Raven Queen. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Raven Queen and have the Pact of the Tome feature. You can place a corpse's hand or similar appendage on your Book of Shadows and ask one question aloud. After 1 minute, the answer appears written in blood in your book. The answer is provided by the dead creature's spirit to the best of its knowledge and is translated into a language of your choice. You must use this ability within 1 minute of a creature's death, and a given creature can only be asked one question in this manner. Claw of Akama. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Great Old One and have the Pact of the Blade feature. You can create a black lead flail using your Pact of the Blade feature. The flail's head is sculpted to resemble a pair of grasping tentacles. The weapon has the reach property. When you hit a creature with it, you can expend a spell slot to deal an additional 2d8 necrotic damage to the target per spell level, and you can reduce the creature's speed to 0 feet until the end of your next turn. Cursebringer. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Hexblade and have the Pact of the Blade feature. You can create a greatsword forged from silver with black runes etched into its blade using your Pact of the Blade feature. If you reduce a target cursed by your Hexblade's curse to 0 hit points with this sword, you can immediately change the target of the curse to a different creature. This change doesn't extend the curse's duration. When you hit a creature with this weapon, you can expend a spell slot to deal an additional 2d8 slashing damage to the target per spell level, and you can reduce the creature's speed to 0 feet until the end of your next turn. Eldritch Armor. Prerequisite: you must have the Pact of the Blade feature. As an action, you can touch a suit of armor that isn't being worn or carried by anyone and instantly don it, provided you aren't wearing armor already. You are proficient with this suit of armor until it's removed. Green Lord's Gift. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Archfey. The Green Lord oversees a verdant realm of everlasting summer. Your soul is linked to his power. Whenever you regain hit points, you treat any dice roll to determine the hit points you regain as having rolled their maximum value. Kiss of Mephistopheles. Prerequisite: you must have the Eldritch Blast cantrip. When you hit a creature with your Eldritch Blast, you can cast Fireball as a bonus action using a Warlock spell slot. The spell must be centered on the creature you hit with Eldritch Blast. Mace of Dispater. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the fiend and have the Pact of the Blade feature. When you create your pact weapon as a mace, it manifests as an iron mace forged in Dis, the second of the 9 hells. When you hit a creature with it, you can expend a spell slot to deal an additional 2d8 force damage to the target per spell level, and you can knock the target prone if it is huge or smaller. Maddening Hex. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 5. As a bonus action, you cause a psychic disturbance around the target cursed by your Hex spell or by a Warlock feature of yours, such as Hexblade's Curse and Sign of Ill Omen. When you do so, you deal psychic damage to the target and each creature of your choice within 5 feet of it. The psychic damage equals your charisma modifier. Moonbow. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Archfey and have the Pact of the Blade feature. You can create a longbow using your Pact of the Blade feature. When you draw back its string and fire, it creates an arrow of white wood, which vanishes after 1 minute. You have advantage on attack rolls against lycanthropes with the bow. When you hit a creature with it, you can expend a spell slot to deal an additional 2d8 radiant damage to the target per spell level. Path of the Seeker. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Seeker. The Seeker bids you to travel in search of knowledge, and little can prevent you from wailing this path. You ignore difficult terrain, have advantage on all checks to escape a grapple, manacles, or rope bindings, and advantage on saving throws against being paralyzed. Raven Queen's Blessing. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Raven Queen and have Eldritch Blast cantrip. When you score a critical hit with your Eldritch Blast cantrip, pick yourself or an ally you can see within 30 feet of you. The chosen creature can immediately expend a hit die to regain hit points equal to the roll plus the creature's constitution modifier with a minimum of 1 hit point. Seeker's Speech. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Seeker. Your quest for knowledge allows you to master any spoken language. When you complete a long rest, you may pick 2 languages. You gain the ability to speak, read, and write the chosen languages until you finish your next long rest. Prerequisite: you must have a pact with the patron of the Great Old One. The blue-white star Alban maintains a fickle presence among the stars, fluttering into view only to herald a dire omen. As an action, you can turn invisible for 1 minute. If you attack, deal damage, or force a creature to make a saving throw, you become visible at the end of the current turn. Superior Pact Weapon. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 9 and have the Pact of the Blade feature. You may use as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells any weapon you summon with Pact of the Blade. In addition, the weapon counts as a magic weapon with a +2 bonus to its attack and damage rolls, unless it is already a magic weapon that you transformed into your Pact weapon. Ultimate Pact Weapon. Prerequisite: your character must have reached at least level 15 and have the Pact of the Blade feature. You may use as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells any weapon you summon with Pact of the Blade. In addition, the weapon counts as a magic weapon with a +3 bonus to its attack and damage rolls, unless it is already a magic weapon that you transformed into your Pact weapon. Conclusion. And there you have it. We've delved into the fascinating world of Warlocks, those conduits of arcane power fueled by pacts with otherworldly entities. We explored their potent spells, from the eldritch blast that carves through foes to the mind-bending charm that bends wills. We unveiled the diverse invocations that shape their playstyle, from the fiery embrace of the fiend to the whispering knowledge of the great old one. But remember, warlocks are more than just spellcasters. They are survivors, cunning strategists who leverage their pacts for a tactical edge. A pact with a celestial may grant you the power to heal allies in a pinch, while a pact with the undying could shield you from mortal wounds. The choice of patron is paramount, defining not just your warlock's power, but also their moral compass. Will you serve the seductive whispers of the Fae, trading power for a touch of madness? Or perhaps the ironclad discipline of the Hexblade speaks to you, granting martial prowess alongside arcane might. This versatility is what makes the Warlock such a compelling class. You can craft a character that's a master blaster, raining destruction down on your enemies. You could become a battlefield controller, manipulating the tide of combat with well-timed invocations. Or perhaps you envision a warlock who delves into forbidden knowledge, a scholar of the arcane who dances with the edge of oblivion. No matter your vision, the tools are here. Experiment, explore, and find the warlock that speaks to your soul. Remember, the path of a warlock is not one for the faint of heart. It's a pact forged in shadows. A constant dance with forces beyond mortal comprehension. But for those who dare to tread this path, the rewards are immense. You'll become a master of forbidden energies, a weaver of fate, and a champion unlike any other. So, the next time you stand shoulder to shoulder with your adventuring party, remember the warlock beside you. They may not have the raw magical power of a wizard or the martial prowess of a fighter, but they hold a unique place in the tapestry of adventurers. They are the harbingers of forgotten magics, the wielders of eldritch power, and the living testament to the potent bargains struck in the shadows. I hope this video has illuminated the fascinating world of warlocks. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of your favorite Dungeons and Dragons classes. Until next time, may your adventures be epic, and your dice rolls be ever in your favor. Of course, by this point, you may also be asleep. In that case, I'll just close the door quietly and let you get some rest.
Hello everyone, Mythos here. I would like to sincerely thank you for listening to my first ever ASMR video pertaining to all things Warlock. Subclasses, patrons, abilities, eldritch invocations, and even content involving unearthed arcana. Hopefully this kind of content interests you and I can make more videos like this one. I wonder what class I should do next. Maybe you could tell me in the comments below. Anyway, have a good one, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and I'll catch you in the next video.